Hi everybody, Doreen from Door Designs. Hope everybody's having a great day. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually not going to be designing a wreath. I'm going to be doing some embellishment on some signs that I bought. I showed these signs a couple weeks ago on a video and I had a lot of good response of people wanting to see how I do the embellishments. But before I get to that, real quick, I just wanted to state that a few weeks ago I did a design on a holiday tin which I sold out of, and several of you had sent messages asking me if I was able to get any more. Last weekend was Sherry at Randolph Mercantile, which you hear me talk about all the time. It's one of my favorite stores to shop at here locally. Had her open house and I was there selling my wreaths and stuff for her open house. And for those of you who did stop by, thank you very much. It was a big success. We had a blast, a lot of fun, but it really gets you in the Christmas spirit. But what I wanted to say was I was able to get 4 more tins. It's the last she has. So I've got 2 complete. I think they're both Peace and Joy. That here's what they look like. Here's one of them. And here's the holiday tin. And you'll see it's got the cardinals and stuff like that. And I've kind of embellished it with the same theme and things like that. So I have that one done. And then the other one was a welcome. And I only have one of those. And it looked like this. And I haven't designed this one yet. And it's a little bit different. It's got some little cottages and things like that. On this tree, it's got the cardinals down here. So like I said, I will be putting 4 of these in my shop, depending on how much sunlight I have left. I'm going to go ahead and get the 2 that I have done posted. And for those of you that had orders, everything has been shipped out. So I am all caught up, and thank you for allowing me the time to finish the holiday open house and then finish your designs. So anyway, enough about that, and we're going to kind of start into the designs. So this week, like I said, we're going to actually be doing some embellishment on some signs. So the first sign we're going to do is going to be this Season of Joy. And yes, I got this at Randolph Mercantile. But what I'm going to do, we're going to embellish the top. So what I've done so far is I just cut a piece of styrofoam, and I just buy, styrofoam blocks at Hobby Lobby, Walmart, whatever. And I just cut a small piece off to fit what I need. I didn't take it all the way out here because, as you can see, the design comes up in there. So when we embellish it, our design's mainly going to come up here and over and more towards the top, because we don't want to cover up the design of the birdhouses and the cardinals and things like that. I just wanted to cover up some of this. So when I hang it with this jute, you're not going to see a bunch of this. You're going to more see ribbon, a little bit of ribbon, some greenery, some red berries and stuff, just to kind of enhance the overall sign. So the first thing we're going to do is, like I said, I went ahead and cut my styrofoam and I glued it on. A lot of the questions I got last week is how I go about picking out the ribbons that I want to use on all of my designs. When I have a sign this big, for me, I look at the things that are going to jump out at me first. So kind of what jumped out at me were these white trees, in my mind, remind me of birch trees, which I love. And then, of course, the cardinals. And then on the birdhouses, this birdhouse right here, it's not a really bright holiday Christmas red. It's more of a primitive, softer tone along with this black. It's almost like a gray black. So what I'm going to focus on, and I'll show you in the ribbons, let me get this hung back up real quick. The first ribbon, like I said, that jumped out, I'm sorry, the other part of it on the birdhouse, it's got a little bit of like ice looking with some snow. So it was the colors here, the birch trees, and a little bit of the snow. So the first ribbon I pulled out was this kind of an open weave white, and you can kind of see it kind of looks like it's almost got a little bit of a snow on it. So I'm going to use that to kind of bring out the snow that I saw on top of the birdhouses. And then to bring out a little bit of color, I'm going to use this black and red plaid. And you'll notice the red, it's not a bright, shiny Christmas red. It really matches this red almost to a T. So I'm kind of bringing in the gray and the red with this ribbon. I'll bring it a little bit closer. See how that matches really good? So we're going to use that to kind of bring out some of the color. But what really struck me the most were the birch trees and the ice that's on there. So this ribbon take my pins out. This ribbon is perfect. It's white, it's birch, it's got that little bit of a frost to it that's gonna match the top of the birdhouses. So those are the 3 ribbons that we're gonna work with. I may not use all 3, and the reason being, I have a really small area of what I wanna fill without my ribbons coming down. Because like I said, I don't wanna cover anything up. So let's get started. So the first step I'm gonna do, I am going to cover the styrofoam in a little bit of grass. And all I do in the moss, I just keep a big tub. It's right below my bench at all times. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some floral pins. And they look like this. They're just a silver little floral pin you can buy anywhere. And I'm gonna cover up the styrofoam. I'm gonna see if I can bring my camera over just a little bit here so you can see a little bit better. Hopefully that's better. Okay, kind of makes me shadowed, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so we're just gonna cover this up. So all I'm gonna do is take a little bit of this moss and put some of my floral pins at the back side. And I want it at the back side because if I stick them all up front, when I go to add my greenery and stuff, it may not go all the way through because it could be blocked by my pins. The other thing to do not hot glue this on to your styrofoam, because if I would hot glue all of this, then none of your pics are going to go through your glue. So make sure you do not use hot glue. So all I'm going to do is take a little bit of my moss, and it doesn't have to cover all the way, but I want it covered enough that when I get done, I don't want to see the styrofoam. So like I said, we're just going to take these floral pins, take it to the back, and stick it in. And we can cut some of this off. So here's what it looks like. Put the pin on that side and a pin on that side. And really that's all I need, because it's not going to go anywhere, because by the time we get done putting everything else on it, you're not really even going to see much of it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to probably do my bow, because my bow is, I want to see how much it's going to cover, and then I'll start filling in behind it. So let's kind of go with the snowball first. And like I said, I may not use the snowball. It may be too wide. I'm not going to do tails on this one. All I'm going to do is take my ribbon and probably do about 10 inches, so I have a 5-inch loop. And I'm going to hold it up, and that looks pretty good. So once again, all I did was measure out 10 inches and made a loop. So when I'm holding it down, all I'm doing is just measuring. So there's 10 inches, and I'm going to make my loop. So then I'm going to do another 10 inches. There's my other 10 inches where my hand is, and I'm just going to bring that up. And I'm going to cover it a little bit because that's where I'm going to pinch it. So let's go ahead and pinch that. And I'm going to cut this off pretty short because I'm not going to use a tail. So let's go ahead and cut that off. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use for my background of my bow. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to use the black and the red. And on that one, I think I am going to have it come down just a little bit, but not very far. So let me trim the ends here. So all I'm going to do, and I'll hold it up so you can see it. I'll put that right there. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up. Okay, there's my ribbon, and I'm only going to do maybe 3 or 4 inches, and I'm going to pinch it. And then I'm going to measure out my 10 inches. Actually, I'll probably do about 9.5. No, I'll keep it at 10 because I'm going to be pinching this. So I measured out my 10. There's my 10 inches, and all I'm going to do is bring that up. I'm going to pinch it, and I'm going to twist it. So then I'm going to bring it back down. There's my second 10 inches, and I'm just going to bring that up behind and twist it because I want the pretty side up, and I'm going to trim that off. Okay, so here's what we have so far. And like I said, this is going to be a pretty simple bow. So then when you look at it, see how that's starting to bring in the red and the gray and black? But I do want to put a final little shimmer to it, and that is going to be this one. So we're going to add a little bit of the birch. Same thing, really small tail. So I'm just going to take it, pinch it, measure out about, I think I'm going to go about 8 inches because I want this one to be a little bit shorter because I'm going to layer it a little bit. So there's my 8 inches. I'm going to twist it. And what I mean by twisting, I want that front of the ribbon to be looking at me to make my second loop. So I'm going to measure out my 8 inches. There's my 8 inches, and I'm just going to pull that up behind it. I'm going to pinch it together and see how the back now is showing. I got to twist it so I have the front of my ribbon looking at me. So let's cut that off. And this is the bow we're going to use. And I think that's going to look really, really cute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zip tie this. So all I'm going to do is take my zip tie. Okay. Some people at this point will take hot glue and glue this in. I'm not going to. I'm going to use another floral pick. So this floral pick is too long for me to go straight in. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to cut the ends off a little bit to make my pick shorter. And I'm just going to take my wire cutter, and they cut really easy. So all I'm going to do is just like that. I'm just going to cut it off. So then I kind of measure, and that should work out really good. So what I do then is I take my bow. So here's the front of it. I'm going to go behind it, and I'm going to thread my floral pick through my ribbon. So see how that comes out? And that's what I'm going to stick into the styrofoam. Sorry. So see? So I'm just going to take that. And actually, I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the ends. And that's how the bow stays. And actually, if you didn't want to put a bunch of greenery and you just wanted to put the bow, now look how cute that looks, just like that. You really don't even have to do anything else, but it kind of takes away from just that solid silver piece up there. So now your ribbon is tying in all of the different pieces of your sign. So I think right there, that looks adorable, but we are going to add some greenery. You could have, if you wanted, taken a piece of ribbon and cut a slim piece and tied it through the middle, but I'm not going to because I'm actually probably going to put, possibly if it looks good, we may put a little cardinal sitting up in the middle of our bow. I'll show that to you. Once I get the greenery, we may be putting a little cardinal in the middle of our bow. So I'm going to leave him out so I don't forget. Okay, so I think I'm going to start out by using a little bit of fern, and I've already got some cut. Now, typically when I do my wreaths, I don't have to pick the ends because I can glue them in pretty good into the grapevine wreaths that I do a lot of. But for this, since I have to have it to go through styrofoam, I'm actually going to be trimming some of these, and I'm going to pick them. So if you don't have a pick machine, you can use floral picks that are, I think I have some. The floral picks look just like this. They're just long and green, and they have wire on the end. So what you would do, you would just take your pick and then you would wrap the wire around the end. And then since these are long ones, you would actually have to just cut these off to the length that you want. But for me, since I have a pick machine, I'm going to use the pick machine. And once I pick it, this is what comes out. There are times that if these are too long, I will actually end up cutting the ends of these off. And even though I cut the point of it off, they'll still go in pretty easy into the styrofoam. So let's kind of get this going here. And I am going to put a little bit of a hot glue on the end of the pick. And since I'm taking these in at an angle going across, I don't have to cut the picks off because I have plenty of space to run it behind the evergreen. So let's do a few more pieces of evergreen, or from ferns. And these ferns have a little bit of a gloss to them, a little bit of a shine. So there is the ferns we're going to use. And I'm going to trim a... Hey guys, when I looked up, I realized that my camera had stopped recording. So I'm actually going to finish this and just splice it together. So you might see a little bit of a hiccup in the video, but here's kind of where I think I left off. I was gluing in the ferns, but then I came back and I used this bush and I cut it up. And what I did is I put this bush in front of the ferns and I just kind of circled the back of the bow. So you'll see that when you look at the side, here's my styrofoam and my ferns are the first one back, and then I layered it with this behind the bow. So if you look at that, you can kind of see where I've got the other bush just coming all the way around. So let me put that back up there. So every step, you could actually stop behind every step. So I showed the first step where I put the bow on and how cute it looked just with the bow, enhancing the sign. The same thing with the ferns and the greenery. We could stop right here, but what I want to do is I kind of want to bring in a little bit of the icy red berries. So I actually found this stem, and I think I got this at Ben Franklin. That I'm going to cut some pieces off, but it's got the berries, and then it's got, you can see like ice all the way through it. So we're going to try and attach a few of those. And I'm going to cut these up pretty small. Sometimes these are kind of hard to break down in this little bitty pieces. But I want to just kind of put a little bit of the red berries kind of sticking out and going around. So let's glue a few of those in. And like I said, I'm just going to put a few of these in because I don't want to get this so overbearing that you don't see the bottom of the wreath or the sign. And I'm just gluing these berries to the actual greenery. I'm not sticking it clear down in the styrofoam. And I think I am going to put the cardinal in there. And all I do with the cardinal, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom back side. And the reason why I say the back side, because if you put your glue at the front bottom, what happens is you can see the glue a lot of times in your design when you've got it glued in. So we're actually going to put it at the back. We're going to stick the little guy right there. I'm actually going to cut a piece of this fern out on this side. I think it's too heavy. I want it to be a little bit lighter. There, like that much better. Okay, look how cute this came out just by taking a fern. Looks like these. I put 2 picks on this side and 2 picks on this side. And then I took one of these bushes that I only cut off I cut off 3 sprigs, and I divided it up. And like I said, I just glued it behind the bow. And then we put some red berries, just real small, gentle red berries. I also have a little bit coming out behind the bow. And then you saw the bow that I did 3 ribbons. And look how cute that turned out. And then we topped it off, ended it with the cardinal. This is going to be really cute for the holidays. I got a piece of glue right there. Seasons of Joy with the cardinals. So let me put this one down. Okay, the next one we're going to do, and I'll go a little bit quicker on this one since I did pretty slow on that one, but this is going to be Merry Christmas to All. It's more of a vintage metal, kind of shaped like an old ornament. That we're going to kind of do the same thing. I've glued on the styrofoam. It's nice and dry. It's not going anywhere. We're going to cover it with some moss. And I'm going to use some floral pins. And my floral pins, I just keep in a big mason jar. And we're going to cover this up somewhat. And like I said, use your floral pins. Do not use hot glue, or you will regret it. Okay, now for this one, let me move it over a little bit. I am going to change my ribbons and go with, I'm going to go with this red and green. Let me get this one open, you can see it better. It's got a velvet with kind of some green little balls on the end and with some gold, which I think is going to be really fun and Christmassy, along with this diamond shape that is the green with the red also. And I think it's going to look really cute. Although my greens are a little bit different, I'm going to have it up here pretty hard. And I didn't want a really dark green in it. I kind of wanted to make it a little more festive. So let's see how this is going to look. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm not going to make a long tail. We're going to keep it pretty short. I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to go 10 inches and make my loop. I'm going to pinch it. I got the pretty side. So I've got the dull side now. So I've got to twist it towards me. And there's my pretty side. I'm going to measure out my 10 inches and bring it back behind and make my loop. And pinch it. So there you have the 2 loops. And actually this one's a little long. And I actually think on this bow, I am going to do 4 loops on this ribbon. Because I don't have a 2.5 to go behind me. We're going to use this one. And now we're going to use the second one. So there's my ribbon. Pinch it. Take my loop, twist it towards me, so I've got my pretty ribbon looking at me and I've got my tail looking at me, and I'm going to pull this behind. But I'm going to measure out a little under 10. And I'm going to, whoops, and I'm going to twist it. And then I just kind of fluff my bow a little bit to see if this is how I like it. And that is going to look adorable. I'm going to zip tie it. Oh, it wasn't quite that big. I always zip tie mine. I hardly ever use a pipe cleaner. That's just a personal preference. I don't think one's better than the other, but the pipe cleaner works the best for me. Then I'm going to take another floral pin and I'm going to cut it off again because it's going to be too long. So we're just going to take at the end, snip it off a little bit. And I'm going to feed it back through the back of my ribbon. This one's a little bit tougher because it's a velvet. So actually, I'm going to back up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to poke it through with the sharp edges, then I'm going to trim it off. Maybe. There it goes. Much better. Okay, so I've got it poked through the back of my ribbon. Now I'm going to cut it off a little bit. I'm going to put it in the hot glue. And we're going to poke that in. Okay, so let's get this fluffed out again. This one's kind of noisy since it's on the metal. And then I'm going to kind of curl this a little bit because, like I said, I don't want to cover up too much of my sign. But isn't that cute how it just kind of makes it pop? Just kind of a whimsical, fun little vintage sign. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to put a little bit of a greenery in, but we're going to do some little different pics in it. So I'm not going to do the long ferns coming down. We're going to keep it a little bit shorter. But I got to put my ribbon up real quick so I have some room to work. Okay, get that out of the way. Let's get some greenery going. And I'm dipping my greenery in my glue pot. So I have a glue pot sitting over here, or actually electric skillet, that I prefer to use over a glue gun. And it's mainly because I do mainly grapevines, and it's so much quicker for me when I'm doing grapevine designing. thought I had one more piece out here. Okay, so on this one, I brought a little bit of the greenery coming down to kind of soften the edges of my ornament since I have a nice big bow up here. And I kept my bow at about 5 to 6 inch loops. You could go smaller, fuller, but I like bows that are less than great big full bows because I want to be able to still see my sign and not just focus here. I want the focus to go all the way down. So that's why I brought greenery coming down on both sides. So right now, this is as cute as can be. You could stop, but I want to put in maybe a couple of either snowflakes. No, I think I like the snowflakes. Let's just put a few little snowflakes in. So I'm taking a pick. I just took a pick and I cut off some of the edges. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of a snowflake up there at the top. Or not really snowflake, it's more of a snow branch. Just to kind of give it some of this white look to it. Stick that out. I'm going to add a few more. Hang on real quick. I want to get another pick. Okay, what I'm doing on some of these white picks that I'm doing, I'm actually taking them almost straight back in between the bows because I want some of this different colors and the white to come through my bow so it's almost like they're inside the bow. So instead of having everything behind it, it's going to incorporate it in the loops. So I'm going to put another one on the other side. These are really turning out cute. I think one more piece and I think we'll be about done with this one. I want to make the top a little bit taller. So I'm going to put one off to the side just a little bit. And I'm just checking to make sure that all of my moss is covered. And I've got a hole on this side, so I'm going to put one more piece of my greenery in over there. Perfect. Let's get our bows, our loops back fluffed up here. Okay, guys, how cute is that to embellish this sign? The sign was cute before, nothing wrong with it, but look how much more it really makes it more festive and holiday-ish just by adding a little bit of greenery, some little pics that I got at Hobby Lobby. I used 1.5 of these, and then I just did 2 ribbons. I think that just turned out just as cute as can be. So I hope you enjoyed kind of learning how to embellish some signs. If there's anything else that you want to see or have me design, please send me a note. I try to answer all the questions and everything you guys send in, so thank you very much. If you like what you've seen, please go out and follow my page. I also have a YouTube page that I'd love to have you subscribe. It just kind of helps me build my little business. And also, if you haven't gone out and checked Katie at Crazy Maisie Creations or Melissa at Burlap Boutique, please do. They have some great designs. They do a lot of signs and kits and things like that. Also, real quick, the reindeer kit that I did last week, I'm just waiting for my supplier to ship me the signs. I'll get those painted real quick, and then I will get those out along with the kit. So I'm hoping to have them any day, and then I'll probably paint over the weekend, and they will be ready to go at the first of the week. So once again, thank you for joining. I am Doreen at Door Designs, and I'll see you on my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.